had said was I want to wrap this text in here. So I'm going to reposition this chair, and I want the text to kind of lay in here like this. So I'm going to go to the Killing Mr. Griffin layer, move this down, and I have the killing go over the top like this, and then just simply using the text tool, highlight this, return. Let's make it all left aligned, and then I'm just going to tab this over like that, and maybe move this into position a little bit more. That's it. So I want that to kind of lay out on the desktop like that. Kind of cool. Okay, a few more things I wanted to go over. How to get this lettering to line up on the spine. Again, if I want to stick with this style, I can go to my Lois Duncan layer, which was author name, right click, duplicate layer, and I'll call that spine. And if I move this up here, I can click back into the text tool, highlight this, and actually I'll get a rotate feature like this. Now, this is a free rotation. If I hold the shift key down, it'll lock in at certain intervals like 90, which is what I want. Let go. And now I'm going to click the move tool, and I'm going to move that to where I want it to be on the spine of the book. That's her author name, so we're going to put the whole thing in here. Notice how it kind of jogs around. If I let go of that and just use the arrow keys, it'll move 1 pixel at a time, so I can do really finite movements. Go back to that text tool because I don't want it to just say Lois Duncan, and it'll highlight here. And then I've got to hit the left arrow to move up, which is kind of weird, but I'm going to type in Killing Mr. Griffin. Now the formatting's messed up, but that's because I've got to make this bigger so it'll drop in place. And I might create some more space here. And actually the Lois Duncan, I want that to be smaller because it's less important. So I'll shift that down to like a 24-point font. And I can create more space in between those two. Cool, I'm going to click back on the move key and just arrow this around, and that actually looks really good right there. The last processes here would be to add any more graphics I want on the back page. I'm going to use text boxes for all of these other windows. So here's my description of the book. This is probably going to be the most typing I do. The description of the book on the back side, which gives a history about the author and why you would want to read this kind of thing. On the actual book right now, it says the plan was only to scare their English teacher. Now, if I don't like this whole hyphenated thing, I would have to go up here, hit return, and move it down. And I'm probably going to change the size of this down quite a bit. There's 18. Move tool and position that around. If I liked this kind of stuff, so this is harder to read, again, I can select this text layer. I'm on it right now. I could right click on author name and choose copy layer style, and I could paste it onto this layer. Now that's kind of hard to read when it's smaller, so I can take away like the bevel and emboss and maybe the satin glow too, and I don't know if that's easier to read or not. But we can copy and paste those effects. And I just wanted to show you too that we can also paste effects onto images. So like the shopping chair, if I right click on that and paste layer style, I'll get all of those effects to go on there, which is kind of cool. And then I could take away like the bevel and emboss. That's kind of cool yet. But at least have that drop shadow. And if I double click on it, I can go into it and change like the distance. And now I get that three-dimensional effect. Sweet. So that's some basics there. The rest of the tools over here, you're probably not going to need this tool or the eyedropper or the crop tool for much. This is just a rectangular selection tool, but we showed you the magic wand. The eraser tool I showed you a little bit. The other one underneath the gradient is a paint bucket tool, so if you wanted to paint something, you have to have something selected. So let's just say I wanted to change the yellow chair. I would use the magic wand to select the yellow, and I have to be on that layer, which I am. If I want to select more than that area, I go up here and hit the Add to Selection feature, and now I can click multiple times and it'll just keep grabbing more yellow. And you can see it's kind of building on this. Remember, it grabs 32 shades lighter or darker than from where I click. So think of shades of yellow, and I'm going to click here. Pretty much got it all. Could use the magnetic wand and go around it too. But if I want to paint that now, it's kind of not the awesomest selection, but let's try that. If I want to paint it, I can go here, choose paint bucket, and my default color right now is black, so I would click here and it's going to paint it black. And it's only going to paint where it's highlighted. That was not that cool, but that's essentially a black chair. So paint bucket, I'm going to undo that. And I could look at my history. See a whole bunch of paint buckets back to the last magic wand. Deselect, it'll take me all the way back there. Other functions here, probably won't need the pen tool to write anything. There is a shape tool, so you could do custom shapes, and I'll show you this just because if you're looking for a specific shape, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can pull from. Click on the gear and do reset shapes. And under the gear, there's a few. If I do all, it's going to give me everything that's in here. There we go. So I got quite a few objects, and what would say killing Mr. Griffin? Maybe a pen. And you just draw, and the pen shows up out here. And it's black. And I want to move that around. And to free transform it, image, edit. I can invert it so it's facing this direction. Kind of cool to draw shapes with so we don't have to find them on the internet. And that's pretty much it that I would show you here. The last part of this is saving. So if we go under File and choose Save for Web, and this is going to make a compressed JPEG, which is printable and not a huge file size. So we want to click the drop down here and choose JPEG. We can leave very high as an option. Save, it's going to ask us where to go with it. I should just show you this too, that if we zoom out here we can see the kind of finished product of what it'll look like. Click Save, and I'll call it book cover JS, save it to my desktop, and it's done. I'm going to minimize this and see if I can find it on my desktop amongst all of these screenshots here, right here. So if I open this up as a JPEG, now I could print this and wrap my book with it. The end.